I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. The wheels were turning as one University of Michigan fraternity continued their fight against ALS in honor of their fallen brother, Lou Gehrig. It was the race heard round Ann Arbor as boxcars barreled downhill towards Trophy Gold.
Boxcar derbies have been running in Ann Arbor since the 1940s. This is a throwback event. We got it going again 9 years ago with a fraternity from University of Michigan. The Phi Delts are here helping us run it. We're raising money for ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, a disease that slowly takes away your ability to be active and mobile.
It's a double elimination bracket style race. We have 3 different brackets. We have younger kids, we have the open, and we have the college kids, and get launched down the ramp, and first one to the finish line wins.
People put their unique spin on these racing machines.
A member of the Ann Arbor Active Against ALS board assembles them. We also have the option to put your own kit together. We also have the option to build your own boxcar from scratch.
My car is green, yellow, and red, and it's supposed to be a traffic light. And we did it at my school. We all painted part of the car, and it was really fun.
We have some amazing new boxcars here this year. One of the kids has actually put in a seat in the front for their stuffed animal, their teddy bear, and each of them have a blanket. We have cars that have headlights. We have cars that have sandbags and weights stuffed into their cars. We got everything you can think of.
Congrats to Kate for the overall championship.
We say we race downhill to raise money for ALS, and ALS is an uphill battle. So we're greasing the wheels for ALS research.
For more on ways to help combat this debilitating disease, visit activeagainstals.org. Stay tuned, and we'll be back shortly with more news and information. The Ann Arbor District Library can add cutting-edge technology to their lineup because the secret lab is home to a different kind of print. There's a whole new world in the basement of the library as 3D designs go from screen to the palm of your hand.
There's a lot of 3D printing going on, and it's a way for people to try it without having to purchase a $600 or $1,000 machine, so they can come down here, learn about it, get some hands-on experience. We teach you how the printer works, the software that runs it. Then we show you how to either download a 3D model from the internet for free, or how to make your own 3D model also for free.
And these creations leave no carbon footprint.
The prints, in our case, are made out of a plastic called PLA, or polylactic acid. It's a cornstarch product that's biodegradable, and that's as opposed to some of the plastics out there that are petroleum-based.
I downloaded the file and then warmed up the printer, and it warmed up to 210 degrees. And then it took about 31 minutes to print this little design.
I made right here this bottle opener on the 3D printer. I didn't design this, I actually got the design off the internet. And we'll have to see, we'll have to go home and try to open a bottle of beer with it, see how it works. But I'm pretty excited. Bottle of water, oh, all right, so at least work for that.
For more on all the creative workshops at the Ann Arbor District Library, visit aadl.org/secretlab. April is National Volunteer Month, and around Ann Arbor there are plenty of ways to lend a hand. Find out how you can help in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hello, I'm Erica Pratt of the Ann Arbor Parks and Recreation Unit. I'm the Volunteer and Outreach Coordinator for Give 365. That's the volunteer program within the Parks and Rec Unit. Did you know there's 159 parks in our park system? That's a huge amount of parkland, and one of the things we do with volunteers is coordinate cleanups and beautification efforts. We oversee Adopt a Park. We are always looking for people to get involved with us. Did you know that April is National Volunteer Month? Sounds like a perfect time to get involved. You can visit our website to see the variety of opportunities that we have. We can customize outings, and we also are recruiting individuals for different events that we've already have planned. Be sure to visit our website to read more about us and check out our events, and hopefully we'll see you around town.
We all have a duty as residents of Ann Arbor to know what is happening on our streets, neighborhoods, and parks. Since 2014, one woman has taken the reins towards transparency through the CivCity initiative. Joining me is founder and executive director of CivCity Ann Arbor, Mary Morgan. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thanks for having me.
So let's just talk about you for a little bit and get your background and why you would have wanted to start something like CivCity.
Sure. Well, my background is primarily as a journalist. I came to Ann Arbor in 1996 to work at the Ann Arbor News, or as I like to say, the original Ann Arbor News.
Yes.
And I started as a business reporter, worked as a business editor, and then by 2008 I was an opinion editor. So I was in charge of the editorial pages and letters to the editor and that kind of thing. I wasn't really satisfied with what we were doing at the Ann Arbor News. I think in hindsight, those look like, you know, glory days where we had a huge staff, but we were actually downsizing even then. I never foresaw what would happen in 2009, but in 2008, it just was not a really fun place to be. And, and at the same time, I felt there were a lot of things in the community that weren't being covered, specifically local government. So the news was covering some things, but there was a lot that was going uncovered. And I felt that there was a need to really amp up the coverage of local government. So quit Ann Arbor News, leapt off a cliff and started an online publication called the Ann Arbor Chronicle, which my husband Dave Askins and I ran for 6 years. So that sort of led up to the transition then to what we're doing, what I'm doing now at CivCity.
So what's the difference between the Chronicle and CivCity?
Well, wow, there are so many differences. Yeah. The first is that the Ann Arbor Chronicle was firmly a journalistic enterprise. So we had the mission of covering local government as in-depth as we possibly could. And I think over that 6-year period built a really good reputation for accuracy and in-depth coverage. What we didn't have as a mission was outreach and education about local government and civic life. We didn't have the capacity, but we also really, that just wasn't what we were doing. It was also a for-profit operation. So it was an LLC, not a nonprofit. So looking at, and we actually, you know, I think that we really struggled at the end of that 6-year period because we loved what we were doing. We were just exhausted. And
you were everywhere.
It was, we got to know you guys at CTN really well, also covering public meetings. And I actually really miss a lot of that. I feel far less informed than I did during that period because we did go to, you know, like large and small meetings of all types. But it was really exhausting, and we really didn't ever, we weren't ever able to make enough revenue to hire additional staff to offset our own workload. So we just decided very planfully to close that down in 2014.
So when you were closing down, did you have the idea for CivCity, or was it something that happened after?
It was something that happened after, although throughout our time at the Chronicle, we talked about, wouldn't it be great if more people, you know, were engaged, and what might that look like, and you know, what kinds of things would that entail? But really, you know, when we shut down the Chronicle in September of 2014, we binged watched Netflix, drank a lot of Manhattans, and you know, took a period of just kind of like, you know, breather.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too long before you know, started talking again about like, what could we really do to push the civic engagement in this community, and what would that look like? And ultimately decided to start the CivCity initiative.
And your husband's a part of this with you?
Not anymore. Initially, we had hoped to raise enough funds so that we could both work there. You know, we're not independently wealthy, so unless we wanted to eat cat food and live on the sidewalk, we had to have an income. And so initially, he was part of CivCity in a very part-time basis with the hopes that we could raise enough money and that he could actually lead a news and information arm under CivCity, but that would also provide local government. We weren't able to pull that off, so he is no longer with CivCity, unfortunately.
So why don't you tell us about what we will see on CivCity and what you're actually doing on a regular basis?
Yeah. We are small but mighty, so we are trying to do as much as we can to really change the culture of this community, starting in Ann Arbor, so that people see themselves as citizens and find ways to get engaged, large or small. The mission of CivCity is, to inspire and educate and inform, and so that's what we're trying to do on multiple fronts. We partner with different organizations to try to make that happen because we're not going to be able to do it alone, and we're trying to inject some kind of civic something into other people's missions. But we also have independent projects of our own. So last year, one of the larger projects was the launch of AnnArborVotes.org, which is an online civic resource for the election cycle. And I'm really proud of that site because it covered all of the local races and ballot proposals in the Ann Arbor area, and was also the candidate profiles and the ballot proposals had just a ton of information that you couldn't find anywhere else. We retooled that for the May 2nd election. Hope everybody remembers to vote.
Coming up.
Yeah, very soon. And then we'll retool it again for the August primaries and again in November. So it's going to be an ongoing place where people can find information about local candidates and ballot proposals.
Have you had any public people tell you what they think about what you're doing, or like even just knowing more about what they're voting for?
Yeah, we've gotten a ton of great feedback on that site because it's one place where you can go. You can explore, there's information, there's a whole glossary of terms for elections. So, if you're unfamiliar with some of the jargon, you can learn about things there. There's links to other resources like the League of Women Voters Vote For on one site. And then you actually have profiles and pictures of candidates and links to news articles and links to their social media and contact information and links to their campaign finance. So it's as comprehensive as we know how to make it, and coming from that kind of journalism ethos of providing information in a way that's accessible and informative. And we partnered with the university's Language Resource Center, and some of it was translated into I think it was Spanish and Chinese, and there was a third language, maybe Arabic. So really trying to make it as accessible as possible.
And when you go on your website, you talk about more than just necessarily knowing what you're voting for, but it's also getting out in the community and being a part of the community.
Right, and it's, I think when people think about civic engagement, a lot of times they go directly to elections, and obviously that is a big part of it, and we believe that that's important too. But really, for us as citizens, we need to be engaged and aware the entire year, not just around elections. So we are also trying to do, throughout the year, other activities that will create opportunities for more awareness and information. One example of that is our weekly newsletter. So we retooled that at the beginning of this year so that it's really focused on action items. And I don't know if you've seen it or not.
Yes, I have.
But every week we list 3 or 4 things that people can actually do to learn or attend meetings or play a game that has some sort of civic aspect to it. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback about that because it is an information resource that's very regular, but it also is kind of a call to action in a lot of ways. It makes it easier for people to kind of pick and choose. Like, I really like parks, so I'm going to volunteer to do a trash cleanup at Vets Memorial Park. Or I really want to learn more about public art, so I'm going to listen to the Ann Arbor Public Art Commission on CTN. So that's a way that, year-round we're providing opportunities to engage.
So why don't you just tell people why they should check out CivCity?
Well, I think the bigger question is, why should you care about being a citizen? And a lot of times we talk about government as kind of an us and them thing, but it's really us. We're all in
Yeah.
this together. And so we all have a responsibility, whether it's something as small as cleaning out the storm drain on your street because it's connected to the sewer system or it's connected to the water system and it's an infrastructure issue, or something that takes a little more commitment, which is running for office. All of those things are part of our responsibility, and at different times in your life you could do more or less. But I think the other piece of it is that you can really make a significant impact locally, much more quickly and forcefully than you can at the national or state level. And most of us don't have access to decision makers in the same way in DC or Lansing as we do in our own community. So that's really important too.
Well, thank you so much, Mary.
Thanks a lot. It's been fun.
Visit a2gov.org/watchctn for more on this and other programs. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.